graciously stepped in and was the host for our live chat. So thank you, Jennifer. Do go check her out over on Twitter and National Podcast Posting Month, Brewing Media, and all that good stuff in the last video. Okay, so we do global podcast editor chats every 2 weeks on YouTube. And we talk about the business, technical, and creative challenges of being a podcast editor, usually podcast editor and other things, but primarily we focus on the podcast editing side. We do have the community spaces all over the web, and they're growing. We've got a newsletter on Substack. And I am checking my notes because brain fog is real. The newsletter on Substack. We've got the podcast over on Buzzsprout. And we have a Google group. And I think that's it right now. We only have 4 spaces. So there we are. And we'll probably grow some more stuff as time goes on. We are located around the world. Today's tends to be a little bit US heavy. Folks in Europe have gone on vacation in August, so it was a bit of a struggle to expand out there. But anyway, if you would like to join us as a guest, I will have the links to the super quick form to fill out so you can join us for a future one. We have the dates for the rest of 2022 listed on the website, and you'll see all of that there. Okay, that's way too much of me talking. And thank you, before I say goodbye, thank you to the 3 people who are in the chat room. Feel free to leave comments at any point, and we'll pull them into the chat. We need to meet the wonderful people, the wonderful editors that are with us today. So let's go. Should we go clockwise or counterclockwise? What do you think?
Clockwise. Always clockwise.
Ladies first.
Yeah, ladies first. There you go.
Okay,
Ladies
okay.
first.
Clockwise it is. Jessica, you're on.
Hello. My name is Jessica Rodriguez, and I help impact-driven coaches expand the reach of their messages through podcasts. So that's my official thing. But I'm a podcast manager, editor, show notes. I do show notes, audiograms, videograms, and guest management. So those are all the things that I do for podcast editing and podcast management.
And I think you might be the first podcast editor that we have on here. And I'm super excited about that because the overlap between the two is huge.
Yeah, the podcast management. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. And some of the podcast managers, they need help on the editing side. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I also help them. I help teach them to do that side. Because I think it's important to know how to edit if you're going to be a manager, because you need to know what your people are doing.
Yep. Very true. And where are you? You're in Texas? In what city?
I am in Houston. I'm right outside of Houston, Texas, right near NASA. So,
oh, okay.
yes. My kids go to school with NASA astronauts kids. So it's a lot of fun.
Very cool.
Yes.
Marcus.
Hi, I'm Marcus DePaula. I am an audio engineer, podcast producer, consultant, and trainer. My website is meonlylouder.com. I've been doing audio since I was 14, and I am currently 40. I'm about to be 48. And I started doing podcasting full time about 5 years ago, and I produce and edit podcasts for multiple clients and multiple roles. Sometimes I'm just doing audio, sometimes I'm doing everything, including show notes and all that stuff. So I prefer just to stick to the audio when I can, but I'm also getting into the video streaming thing, which hence the fancy setup. So we can talk about video too if you want to.
Yeah, that is a very cool setup. And you're coming to us from
the Nashville, Tennessee area. I'm actually in
Nice.
Franklin, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville.
Very cool. Nick.
Hello, everyone. My name's Nick. I run a business called Ant Podcast Management. The Ant stands for Amy Nick Thompson. So I work with my wife, Amy. Coming to you from Manchester in England. Normally, the only thing people know about Manchester is either Manchester United or Oasis, but there's a lot more to Manchester than that. It's a cool place. But yeah, as the name suggests, Ant Podcast Management, we are a management company. But really, I like to tell people, we do offer these services like researching, coming up with good content for a show, structuring episodes, researching guests, inviting guests, show notes. But really, I like to tell people how we got started, and that's purely on the editing side of things. That editing side of things, that's what takes up probably about 90% of our time, the editing. And the reason why we're all editors is because we're the weird ones that enjoy it, and most people who have a podcast don't enjoy it. So that's why we have jobs.
So true. So true. And thank you, Nick, for you and Amy giving us that wonderful feedback on what you want for editors when you're looking to hire. In issue 43 of the GPE newsletter. We were
Yeah,
able to
you're
highlight.
welcome. I hope it helped. Sometimes the tables turn. We're the ones who are looking for editing work,
Mhm.
but sometimes we have too much work and we're looking for editors. So
Mhm.
we've got experience of trying to sell ourselves to people. Can we have your business? But
Yeah.
also the other way around, people asking us for editing
Mhm.
jobs. So you start to realize what's good from both sides and what's not good. The main bit of advice was if you're approaching someone, show some interest in what
Yeah.
they're doing and do a little bit of research before approaching them.
Yeah. The people side is the harder part because we think if we have all the tech skills, we're done, and that's not true.
Yeah, that's it. We like working with people that we like, don't we? It's the same with that's all business.
Very true. Very true. So definitely go check that out. Episode. Oh, what am I doing? Issue 43 of the GPE newsletter. Okay. So my favorite part is the challenges. Let's go backwards. Let's go counterclockwise. Nick, can you start us off with what your biggest challenge this week is with podcast editing? Mhm.
Yeah, in podcast editing, biggest challenge is something I regularly come across. It's the de-esser or sibilance. Now, I use Adobe Audition. I know some people use Pro Tools, and there's lots of good software out there, but Adobe Audition I think is brilliant, and I've been using it for many years, even before we had this business. I got into podcasting because I love it. I'm a fan first and foremost, so that's why for many years I was happy to work for free in podcasting, and I was just finding out all different things Adobe Audition can do. It can do. I'm sure it can still do a lot of stuff that I still don't know about. But yeah, the de-esser tool. Sometimes, I'd say most of the time, I have success with it, but I find it quite temperamental, and maybe it's the way I'm using the effect, or my I'm sure it is my settings. Sometimes I think, oh, that's worked really well, and other times it hasn't improved the sibilance at all. And then, so what I do to combat that, which is very time consuming, is when I'm listening and going through the whole episode, using, by the way, you'll soon realize that I'm very much self-taught, because I have names for things. I have my name, and then there's the proper name for it.
That sounds like me.
We do.
Yeah. So on Adobe Audition, you can pull up, I call it the heat map, but I think it's spectral frequency. Spectral something.
Yeah.
But I call it the heat map. Hopefully we all know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So as I'm going through the episode, I'm looking out for all the very white parts of the heat map, and I'm just manually fading them, getting rid of them completely. Sometimes, of course, you want to fade them, because if you get rid of them completely, then it sounds stupid. It sounds ridiculous. But yeah, so like I said, when the de-esser tool doesn't really work for me, I have to go through the whole thing, and it's very time consuming. Worth it, because the sibilance S noise can sound horrible. But yeah, that's a challenge that I come across.
Yeah, it's like the chalk. What is it on the chalkboard, or no,
nails on the chalkboard?
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah, that kills my ears.
Yeah. So okay, so the challenge is you use it and it doesn't sound like it doesn't fix it.
The de-esser tool. Yeah, I mean, maybe, and I have watched, this is the great thing about like the times that we live in. The answer's always there on YouTube or something. And, back before I did this as a job, I was spending hours watching YouTube videos of how to use all sorts of editing software. And so I've done the research. I've watched loads of videos, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. I just find that sometimes it works really well, and other times it doesn't. So I guess it's temperamental. So I wonder if what you guys, maybe you use Adobe Audition, maybe you don't, but I just wondered, if you got any thoughts, what you guys do to combat the sibilance noise.
I use, which they're not gonna, it's fading out, the Acusonus Era 6.
Right.
I love that. I mean, I'm
Acusonus is
so
great.
upset that they're not going to be supporting it anymore. They're not taking it away, but they're not supporting it anymore.
Right.
But that de-esser is so amazing. Like I use Audacity. So mine is more like content editing, a little bit of noise reduction through Audacity. But Acusonus, I mean, it literally, you can tell it takes just the S's out. It doesn't mess with any of the other things. It just finds, like, I guess the highest or the white, the white part. And it's really, really great.
Okay, wait. Is Acusonus a DAW or a plugin? I'm guessing it's a plugin.
It's a plugin.
Plugin.
Yeah, Acusonus is actually the brand.
Okay.
There's a company and then they
Okay.
make a series of plugins, and one of them is de-esser, and all their plugins are fantastic. But I think as a company, they're just not going to make plugins anymore. But if you've bought the plugins, you can keep them and keep using them. They just won't support them and update them. So as the computer software continues to advance, they may stop working at some point, which sucks.
Yes, because it's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are they taking it away?
I think the company's just going under. I don't know. I haven't
no.
read
They're
about
like-
it. Yeah.
And yeah, it sounded like they were going to a different, I don't know, something different that
Yeah.
doesn't have anything to do with audio. But I think it does better
Oh.
than, well, maybe because I don't know how to use it as well, but better than the isotope. I even think it really does. you know.
Yeah.
I don't think it's finicky, you know, like you don't have to mess around as much.
I personally am not a fan of the isotope de-esser. It is woefully inadequate, and I've actually had success with the Adobe Audition de-esser, but it's clunky to use, and it doesn't always work. Like Nick said, it's tricky, and so the plugin that I use, and I'll bring up my screen here because this is what I do with training.
Fancy
I
schmancy.
I use
I know.
I use Vice DS, which Vice is there's actually a hardware unit that was made in the 90s, I think, that was one of the early digital mastering processors. So this is one of the plugins from this super high-end professional music recording studio.
What?
Yeah, so this is like, I'm just showing you like as high-end as it gets, and I'm not saying that everybody has to get this plugin, because these plugins are expensive. The Acusonus is actually much easier to use and easier to get good results. This one you also have to kind of tweak, but let me actually turn up the sound here so you can.
Texted it to you all, but I don't know if you've heard it.
So you can kind of see on the graph. I don't know if you could hear the audio coming in. from the
we can.
DW.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So Sissy on this podcast, she has some women have very like that super piercing, super high frequency, and it has to do with your teeth and your tongue and all that stuff. And everybody's voice is different, but there's these two bands you can tweak, and so you can see the red. I like these graphic interfaces because you can actually see what it's de-essing. So I can kind of move these closer to the peaks. And then
Says, I can still
I can
find
make it
Wiley's
wider.
house. I can't even get to the second line. Riding on my bike with eyes closed.
So
I
that's
can
without
name
it.
every girl that he took out and from my memory dial his house phone. Can you take me back when we were just kids who weren't
So it is very subtle, and you have to have I usually use headphones when I'm doing this part of the editing, but I could spend a whole hour just talking about.
Well, let's bring this back to Nick. Are you tempted to try out different technology to have that be a less frustrating process, or do you want to just keep going with?
I mean,
or-
no, I would like to try something else.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
my initial instinct is to stick with what I know, but then if I always had that attitude, I never would have learned how to use Adobe Audition in the first place.
Right.
So yeah, absolutely. I've made notes, from what you guys have said. It sounds
Yeah.
good.
And Marcus, you said that was Vice,
Vice.
VICE.
VEISS DS, or sorry, not V, W. It's German. WE. Weiss.
Oh, Weiss.
Yeah, Weiss. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. They
But
make
it's by
so many
SoftTube.
good- There it is. Yep, got it.
And they have the plugins on sale every once in a while. It's my favorite de-esser, but the Fab Filter makes a fantastic de-esser as well. That's the company. Their Fab Filter's de-esser is just as good as that one.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, we need to do some quick shout outs to folks in the chat room. I'm super excited you all are awake. We have Sam over in Brazil, Steve in the middle of the US. I
Olha
wanna
aí,
say
gente.
Missouri?
Sou brasileiro também. I'm Brazilian.
Oh my goodness. There you go. Becca, I believe, is in Minnesota. And we have Claire Sandy, who's also in the UK. So thank you all for being in the chat room. I was not expecting this much activity. And Steve also said that he thinks that
That's what I heard
Where did it-
too. They
where
got
did it
bought
go?
out. Steve,
they
got
bought out.
Why aren't
Okay.
they doing it anymore? Like,
bought out by Meta. Hmm.
Oh,
So do you-
Meta.
Steve,
so
are they going to do something with it though?
Hmm.
Meta? So what's probably going to happen is Meta is taking their technology and rolling it into whatever Facebook,
Mhm.
Instagram product they're
Okay.
working on. Yeah. So we won't be able to use it as editors anymore.
Yeah.
Oh.
Bah.
Thanks a lot,
Bah.
Facebook.
Yeah. Thanks, Meta. Meh. Anyway, well, yeah. Okay. Any final thoughts on de-essers before we move on?
No, it occurred to me while I was talking about it and while I was making, on purpose, I was making the sibilant noise. I'm hoping for people listening that wasn't too offensive for their ears as we're talking about sibilants, and then I'm doing it myself.
Right.
That was the only thing that crossed my mind. But apart from that, that was really useful. Thanks.
We're all editors here. We understand. Yeah.
There's a difference between how you record and how you, it's totally fine.
I will say too, before we move on, like the other issue with sibilants, if especially if it's a recurring issue with one of your clients, maybe trying a different microphone, because the microphone, certain microphones, especially the cheaper ones, can accentuate those ugly high frequencies as opposed to the crisp ones.
Good.
And Claire from the Silent Y podcast said she's being nosy for editing tips. And where did she say it? Oh, as I edit my own podcast, this is interesting to hear. She's fascinated how anyone can edit more than one podcast a week.
It's a lot of work.
It is. It is. Although I do try to do them on separate days, but that's a whole other issue. Yeah.
Okay. Just on that very topic, unless someone's I hope I'm not going to ruin what someone's about to say, but trying to get multiple podcasts done in a day, maybe this is something you're aware of, but this changed my life really. Listening to episodes on 1.5 speed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you can still understand everything.
Yeah,
and then you're finished a lot quicker.
I edit at 1.75 speed.
Oh yeah, there you go. I think twice the speed is a bit too fast for me to hear it all properly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope that helps.
So do y'all also do y'all do sound editing, but y'all also do content editing as y'all are editing also, like, or dialogue editing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm usually doing like making notes for show notes or keywords for YouTube or things like that as I'm doing it. So I actually my brain can't handle more than one.
Sure.
I can do 1.25 if I needed to, but honestly, I'd rather just do it because I just do one pass for the video, one pass for the audio. So I just know that I'm going to spend the time and be making all these paper notes as I go. But
yeah, I'm definitely in just pure edit mode when I'm doing 1.75. I'm not thinking about content.
Yeah, you can't. You can't.
Other than just like, okay, that was a repeated word or that was an beyond that, like, okay, this is a good idea for social media. That's too much for me.
Yeah. But if you're editing your own also, Sandy, this is probably for you. If you're editing your own, you're probably so used to what you need sound-wise and dialogue-wise that probably is something that's a pretty easy lift to do. So yeah, Marcus, speaking of you, what is your biggest challenge lately?
My biggest challenge always is communication, especially with clients. So it's like the technical stuff I've been doing so long. There's always challenges with technical stuff. There's always frustrations with that. But the communication is hardest for me because I have no control over how I'm a control freak, and I have no control over how the client's going to respond or if they're going to provide me what I ask for. And especially when I'm dealing with the guests for doing these kind of remote calls, that communication piece for these guests that are, why aren't we using Zoom, to record this? I'm like, I promise this is easy. And then when they get into, Boomcast or Riverside or whatever I'm using for my client recording, they're always like, oh, this is awesome, But especially the ongoing communication with clients and maintaining a good rapport with them, there's so much that I do feel like people who've never edited a podcast take for granted. And I have a hard time not being resentful when I hear the phrase, especially of, oh, well, Marcus will just fix it in post. It's like, okay, so I know that we're all editors here, but I guess you all can commiserate with me. And I wish there was a way that I could say to all my clients, can you please get in a good mindset before you sit down to record? Make sure that you think about the words coming out of your mouth before you actually say them, and be mindful of mouth smacks. Use headphones too, because if it's a solo podcast, a lot of times people won't use headphones, and you're not aware of the mouth smacks and the bumps and stuff like that. Because I've got one of my clients that has a desktop stand, and he bumps it constantly.
Well, Marcus,
So-
I have some clients that made their own like pre-recording checklists. Do your clients do that, or have you made any for them?
They will not
Yeah.
read them. They will not read them, and that's the other
Ah.
thing. Yeah, because I'm dealing with the snobby CEO types. That I barely have
Yeah.
time to. Oh, you
I'm
want
here.
me to?
That's enough.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you-
barely have
Yeah.
time to record.
right.
Yep.
Yeah. What do you mean my laptop mic's not good enough for the podcast? That kind of thing. So, and that's again with the challenges of tone.
Mhm.
And what I've learned too is that I have to be assertive and in a leadership role and not seen just as a vendor. That's the other challenge, because I'm the expert in this area, and it's more than me just producing this MP3 file and publishing it for them. It's me helping them get their voice out to their audience in a way that is impactful and memorable and can help them grow their impact and get their message or their story or whatever it is they're trying to get out there. And I'm always thinking bigger picture, and it frustrates me when I care more. It feels like I care more about stuff than my clients do. It's like, do you realize how this lower quality, this stuttering, just stop recording. Or if they have a technical problem, they just kind of try to push through it thinking, oh, it'll be okay, Marcus can fix it. But it turns out that distortion that was in there was because your interface is glitching and you should have rebooted your computer. And I wish you would have texted me to ask if I could help really quick in the moment instead of me having to try to remove this distortion, which I'm not going to be able to.
I
So-
can totally see both sides, because sometimes when I hit record, my brain goes out the window and I just get so wrapped up in the conversation. But on
Yeah.
the other hand, because I want to respect the person that's on there with me time, even though that was grammatically a weird way to put it, I also try to pay attention to stuff and start and stop and do the things we need to do so that they sound good. So it's a lot. But honestly, for me, I love what Becca said, that she likes working for podcast networks because they deal with all the clients.
Yeah.
Hey, Becca.
I love that, because I'm looking for more white label work because I'm a little bit client exhausted out, because when
Yeah.
I think we get things settled and they're in a good momentum, recording wise, package wise, like rhythm wise, workflow wise, then everything gets upended in one day, but often. Like
Yeah.
not once a year, but like once every 2 months or something. And I'm like, but we just got in a rhythm. Can we stay in the rhythm?
Right.
And it's frustrating for me because I'd rather just be editing.
Yep.
And so client communication is hard. Okay, Nick and Jessica, what things can we do to help Marcus feel less annoyed by this?
Yeah. And Marcus, you know what I realized? I just launched my own podcast, which is way different than
Yay.
launching somebody else's.
Yeah.
Because, you put off all your stuff until the end. And I was like, oh, dang, I didn't do exactly what I told him to do, promote it as you go. Oh, well, I promoted it, but I didn't send out all the things as I wanted to. Anyway, so I noticed, though, of course, I use Zoom. I didn't hear that it went in and out until I listened to it after.
Right.
So sometimes they
Mm.
don't know that it's a
Mhm.
bad recording, or not really bad, but kind of blurs in and out
Mhm.
until after. So that, and then how I communicate with mine, the best one I really love is like Slack. I love talking to them through Slack because that's like real time. It's kind of like a texting, and then
Mhm.
WhatsApp. So I like using those two, are
Mhm.
my go-to. And of course, normal email is what I use. But yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Sometimes they still don't respond.
Yeah. And I don't
You're
know.
like,
A lot of times
"Send
I
it
don't even
to
know when they're
me."
recording. So.
That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
a lot of my clients are just recording on, like I consult with them, get their recording set up. They go
Mhm.
off and record and just send me the files. And then, I'm
Oh,
just
and then you
dealing
can't
with-
see them after.
Yeah,
Okay, so you
yeah.
already have the files. You just haven't.
Yeah. So
You
I
have
don't have
questions
any
for 'em.
input in real time at all. And so then it's addressing, okay, this is what went wrong. This is how we can make sure it doesn't happen again after the fact. But this episode is going to have this particular issue.
Mhm.
And sometimes I can fix it. Sometimes I can't.
Nick, what do you think?
Well, yeah, we all feel your pain. We all sympathize with you. Especially, I mean, I like what you said. If someone's like banging on the desk when they're making their point, and you kind of think to yourself, well, if you don't care about the audio quality, then why should I?
Exactly.
But we do. It's our job, and I actually think you said yourself, you feel like you care more about it than your client does, and that's probably because that's true.
Yeah.
You probably
Yeah.
do, and I do. I care about it more than I think the client cares. A lot of the time, some clients, they just want to get their message out there to the world in the form of a podcast, and if it sounds passable, then they're happy with that.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes we need to realize, like you said, you're the expert, they're not. They're happy with what we've produced. I find it a bit challenging if someone's only paying me to be their editor, they're not paying me to be their producer, they're not paying me for my opinions,
Right.
even though I know it would make my life easier. And don't get me wrong, I do suggest things that will make it easier for everyone, and I just try to word it that I care about it, you care about it, we're all just trying to create something as good as possible, which the client's not going to argue with that. Of course they want their podcast to be as good as it possibly can, but sometimes, well, actually all the time, the way I think about things is different. So before I got into audio, I had like a 10-year career in sales and business development. And so that was
helps.
client focused all day, every day for 10 years. And I just got used to, this might not be a very healthy attitude, and this definitely doesn't help your problem, Marcus, but I just got into a mentality that's just how it is. The client's the most important thing. Without them, we don't have an income. We don't have a job. We can't do the job that we love. I didn't love my previous job, but I do love this job. And that's just my mentality, is that it's kind of a bit like the old school, I guess, hospitality mentality. The customer's always right. You can imagine a chef getting so frustrated that a customer wants a well done steak, and the chef might think, no, you're wrong. You shouldn't order that. But it's their money, it's what they want. But then it is frustrating when they're expecting perfection and giving you crap.
Garbage. Yeah.
Rubbish. That's when rubbish. Yeah.
Yes.
That's when a conversation needs to be had. But you just have to come across it in the way, like, I've got your best interests at heart, even if it's coming across as criticism. It's helpful. It's going to make your podcast sound better. It's going to make my job easier. But maybe I lead more with, let's make your show the best it can be. But at the end of the day, we've got higher standards than what they've got.
Right.
And again, it's not very helpful advice to you, but maybe we just have to accept that.
No, and it's good for me to hear all this, because the other thing I hear my partner echoing in my head, because she does social media marketing for authors, and we're actually working on some stuff for podcasters now too, repurposing some of her content. And what she says is like a lot. We have to remember that we're talking at level 10 as far as the skill, and they're at like a level 0. So I have to choose whether or not I want to take on the responsibility, or how much I want to put on them to help them understand what's going to help me. And it's tough. Like, I have to be more than just an editor. All I want to do is sit here and click at my computer all day and make cuts and make things sound pretty. Dealing with human beings is messy and hard. And I wish I didn't have to do it, but as a solopreneur, that's part of the gig. So.
It really is. I feel like I've had 2 types of clients so far. One where they care about the message and not the audio, and the other one where they care about the audio and they're super high maintenance, but they pretend to have no budget.
Yeah.
And and so I'm like, okay, so the people that have the money don't want to put in the time to help us make it a good sounding
They send it to you
thing.
and just do
Yeah.
it. Do
And I'm
whatever.
like, oh man, can I combine these 2, please?
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's exactly.
Because it's just between the financial conversation, the sound, let's care conversation, the workflow, the planning,
Just a human conversation too. Yeah, it's all.
And this is a big part of our life, but it's not necessarily a big part of theirs.
Right. And I have to remember that.
And we have weird ears.
Yeah.
Like, we hear things they don't, and their listeners will never hear.
And I think there's something to think about. Like, we hear our clients' voices on a daily basis. They hardly ever hear from us.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true.
That's true.
That's true. It's so complicated.
Yeah.
Anyway. Well, Marcus, I hope this helps a little bit.
It does. It just helps to talk about it
Hey,
too. Like,
hey Marcus, now have you I know one of my editors, he's like, oh, let me help you set up your Zoom with the correct settings. So have you done that part for them and everything?
No, I do that. Yeah, I do screen shares, and I'm actually helping Brian Barletta with a whole new setup with a bunch of fancy stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
Because even just the basics
Oh,
on
yeah.
just, you know, like
That's all
Zoom,
part of my
there's so
services.
many. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Zoom
So that would
especially.
kind of help somewhat. You know, I mean, not,
Yeah.
you know, Zoom. I mean, there's only so much you can do,
Right.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
Whew. All right, Jessica.
that was
Are you
deep,
ready?
Marcus. That was deep.
That is. Oh, that's a good time for us to stop for just a moment. We'll take
Ah.
a quick 2-minute break. Editors, feel free to move around and do some exercise, grab a coffee and what have you. And I've got some notes on some things I need to tell you all about the community. So, right. So, Global Podcast Editors. Oh, wait, I have visuals for this. So, I'm going to see if I can not mess it up like I just did. Okay, let's try this again. La, la, la. Again, editors, feel free to take a break for a couple minutes if you want. I know we all sit a little too much. Share screen. So the newsletter is the primary source that funds the entire community. So I wanted to show, not just say, hey, you should pay attention to our newsletter, but I actually wanted to show you guys some of the things that are in there because I realize I just say, hey, do this instead of actually show you. So I'm just going to take a couple of minutes to show you some of the highlights of the newsletter. There's 3 main parts that are in it. I talk about stuff from the perspective of a podcast editor, from the perspective of a business person, like we were just talking with Marcus, a lot of the client interactions and the millions of decisions of being an entrepreneur, solopreneur, if I could say that, freelancer, that kind of thing. And also as a podcaster, because I'm still a content creator, like many of you are, and still like testing out, experimenting, and playing with things. And reporting on those in the newsletter. But also, I have these handy dandy espresso shots of different things that either like this one here is something that I've created for the YouTube channel, or different like podcast articles, YouTube videos, information, workshops, different things that I find that I think will be interesting for you, the podcast editor. We also have community information in there as well. And I think that's everything. Did I do that in order? Holy cow, that actually worked. Okay, so that's just a little bit of a view of what is in the newsletter, and it's out every 2 weeks, opposite weeks of our chats here. There is a free version and a premium version, and of course, there's more of a deep dive into all of those things in the premium version. And again, that paid subscription funds everything we do in the community, both on these chats and different, well, we were also having monthly meetups and different things like that. Okay, blah, 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 blah. I should now actually give you the link, which I've saved right here. Check this out. I'm getting fancy on StreamYard. So over on Substack, Global Podcast Editors. Okay, that's enough of me. We need to get back to all of us. Yay! All right, Jessica, are you ready with your challenge?
Yes, yes. And I was actually going to talk about reverb, or de-reverb, but when you talked about sitting for a long time, I'd like to talk about chairs.
Do it!
Cool.
Because,
Yes.
well, first of all, my chair is not tall enough. So I have to sit, when I'm on a video, I have to sit on something to make me tall. Or maybe it's not me. It's me that's not tall enough. So, but the chairs, is there a specific chair, you know, like Marcus, Nick, Steph, that y'all use?
I dream of Herman Miller's, but I don't have one because I'm moving too much.
Herman
No, no,
Miller's.
not-
Herman Miller, the Aeon chair, Aeon. I'll put it in the chat room.
That's like you'll see them in all recording studios and stuff
Mhm.
too here in Nashville. Everybody has one of those Aeon. I actually don't like the mesh ones. Like they
Mhm.
Herman Miller makes other ones, but those mesh ones have like a curve to them. And for those of us who have no rear end, it hurts your tailbone. Like I can't sit in them for a long period of time because it like pokes my tailbone. So yeah.
What
But
do you all use?
What do you have, Nick?
No, it's just a very standard office chair.
Mhm.
Because maybe I know what you mean about the kind of the mesh ones, or I think a lot of people use kind of, they almost look like racing car
Yes.
driver
Yeah,
Gamer
I
chairs.
can't do
chairs. They're
those.
gamer chairs.
But
Yeah, the
no,
gamer
standard
chairs.
for me. But I've been
Mhm.
told by osteopath, is it a chiropractor in the US? I'm not sure, but maybe
Yeah,
it's the same
uh-huh.
word. Yeah, I've been told by an osteopath every 30 minutes to get up and have a break. But I think if that's the case, I
That's
wouldn't
so
get,
hard.
I wouldn't get much work done.
You're
Right.
finished.
Yeah.
Yes,
My
yes.
Apple Watch encourages me to get
Yeah.
up, and I'm like, I'm in the middle of something. I'll do it later.
And same thing for
Yeah.
your eyes. The eye doctor is like, make sure you stop, you know, at least,
Oh,
you
man.
know, every 30 minutes or every 20 minutes. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I edited
Not
for
really.
12 hours yesterday, and my eyes at the end of the day were just all red and kind of
Blurred.
itchy. Yeah, it was not
Oh
fun.
yeah. Yeah. No, I have a constant issue with chairs. And I don't mind like when I'm just doing meetings, I don't mind doing like a standing, sitting and like varying that. Actually, I prefer standing or walking meetings. But for editing, standing doesn't work for me because
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
have a proper standing desk where everything elevates. When I elevate for standing, it's just my laptop and my mouse and everything's below, and then it just gets all awkward and stupid. So I don't know. Do you guys have any standing desks?
Mine is a standing desk, but I never use it. My partner does. Like I got him for
Oh.
both of us a few years ago, but
Yeah.
I think I have too many cables off the end of my desk, so I'm afraid
Yes,
something's
Oh
going to
yeah,
cables,
unplug.
everything's gonna fall.
But I
Yeah.
built it so all of this moves up, but the light I have to be like my light and my camera monitor. Well, no, this is mounted to the desk. It's this thing right here. I'd have to push it.
Mhm.
My camera, my teleprompter camera, I'd have to move it back, which here I can show.
You
So
see-
yeah, this is
Wow.
this
I just love
whole
that
part
view,
would go up.
Marcus.
Right?
It's just so
But-
fancy.
This chair here is a steel case. I can't remember
Mhm.
what I got it on Craigslist for $50, and it's a $600 chair, and it's an ugly brown color because it was like at some insurance office, but it's super
Oh
comfortable.
my gosh.
Yeah, so it's worth it to invest in a chair,
Mhm.
when you can. But it is expensive. But we spend so much time in it. It's like seeing it as an investment, and those $50 chairs will wreck your back.
Yeah.
Wreck my back anyway.
Yeah, no, they do. Well,
Yeah.
we're moving every 3 months now, and the chairs in the
Yeah.
Airbnbs are terrible. So I
Yeah.
just put it in my budget to buy one, and I'm still buying stuff about €100, which funny enough is actually almost exactly $100 right now, which is not normally true. But I usually spend about that range, and it's not the greatest chair, but it's better. And I try to do non-editing things elsewhere, either standing or walking or even on the couch or in the kitchen or something else. I try to
Yes.
change the locations. But
My-
I don't
my-
have as much stuff as Marcus does.
I don't think anybody does, nor anybody should anybody. It's yeah. My partner actually, we got her some chair cushions that are like
Mhm.
those ergonomic ones. It was
Mhm.
something I saw an Instagram ad on. I can't remember the name
Yeah,
of them,
yeah.
but they
Mhm.
have like the cutout for your
Mhm.
your spine and all that stuff. So that might be a good solution for
Yeah, and they, they
fix-
have a back store here. I forgot that when
Cool.
I was working.
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's it.
Yeah,
Yep.
the back. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This came with the crappy chairs in this Airbnb. This actually came with it, but it doesn't
Yeah.
actually work well with any of them. Like
Oh,
I've tried it out on
man.
every chair in the gigantic 2-bedroom apartment, and it
Right.
doesn't work. So, but it is lovely and it's soft, and you know what? Having this bit here really does that. So weird. I think that's our screen. It really does help. It's just I can't find the right chair to match it with.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's tricky. It's so tricky. I'm so
It
glad
is.
you brought that up, Jessica, because I ask people this question all the time, but we've never actually talked about it on the chats yet.
Yeah. When you said that, I was like, and my back hurts right now. So that's what that reminded me. It was probably from my launching, just sitting there too long.
Well, Jessica, what are you using? What is your chair?
I don't even know what this is. It's just one from, I think, Sam's Warehouse, like one of
Okay.
those office chairs.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and it's comfortable, but
Yeah.
I mean, we sit so long.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like you said, you don't even realize it's been like 8-10 hours and you're like, oh my gosh, I just really haven't moved too much the
Yeah.
whole day.
Yeah.
So
For
yeah.
me, it's been more of my shoulders and my neck, and I've invested in a ton of Salon Pass. And if it gets too bad, I'll just put one on, and it has that kind of menthol-y stuff that makes it better. It is not a long-term solution. I do not recommend this instead of having a proper chair, but it does kind of feel good in a pinch. I guess we're on to my challenge. Oh, mine's money. Mine's money. Hello to Florante Valdez from the Philippines over in the chat room, Podcast
Cool.
Sidekick. So glad you're joining us today. And Mark Deal is actually over in the chat room too, and he was talking about a $200 mesh chair from Office Depot.
Oh.
$200. Yeah. Chairs are one of those things where it seems like the higher in price you go, you do actually get better.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So money, packages. Every time I change my packages, I have people contacting me for things that are not on it. And then I just go, why did I even spend those hours? Because it takes me hours to reconfigure everything. And I found a niche that I really love, and I can't find people that want that thing, which is like, yeah. So, and it even changes from when I spend the time to revamp it to a few weeks later when I figure out that I'm doing this, this, and this. I can actually pull that into the packages too. Now that I've gotten the hang of it and rather good at it, I can start doing that. But then it's revamping them again. So the constant challenge to show what I can do while trying to get people, to get the right folks into the financial sphere of what I do is tricky. It's just showing and signing up clients that want the same things that I like to do is forever tricky. How do you guys display your wares?
Who wants to go first? Well, okay, I'm speaking.
Yeah, we haven't
I'll
heard from
go
Nick in a
first.
while.
Yeah, it is pricing. Well, yeah, just displaying your offering. I do find it's difficult to simply display what you offer in podcasting because there are so many different options, like even down to what type of editing do you want? Do you want us to take out 100% of the ums, or do you want to leave it as a more natural conversation, which will then take us less time to do, so therefore should be cheaper. So it is difficult. We are trying to make it as simple as possible as a package. And where before in the past we were trying to be too specific about, if your podcast is this length, we charge that, and if you go a minute over, it's going to be this. Where we've come to a decision with the package prices to either kind of just stick to one price but be less strict about the time of the podcast, and then we just take it as a view, like we win some, we lose some sort of thing, but try and keep it simple. But the packages, we try to list a few services like audiogram, show notes, upload, the basic things that we think you need. Of course, there are optional extras, but back to how we were saying before, we're the experts in this field, especially if you're working with a client who, they might run a mortgage company, a mortgage broker, and they want to have their own podcast. So yeah, in terms, they know what they do, we know what we do, but in terms of podcast experience, they're starting at zero, a bit like what we said earlier. So we try to suggest, we think you'll need this, this, and this, and just hope they trust us. Rather, it's a bit like I haven't got kids, but I imagine it's a bit like having a kid at the dinner table. What do you want to eat? Just don't ask them what they want.
Yeah, that's what you get.
Give it to them.
Instead of asking them, just this is what you're having.
Yeah.
We try to take that approach, but pricing as a whole, I think we would all admit in public or secretly that it's the death of all of us. Trying to come up with a price that reflects your experience and your value, but you want to attract clients, you don't want to put them off, but you want to attract the right ones, and you want to repel the wrong ones. And when we started our business, like any business, I imagine, we had very cheap prices. We needed clients, and that was fine. I was happy to whatever they were paying back at the beginning. I was just happy that we had clients. And then, of course, as our experience grew, our prices went up because we found ourselves, we were just spending too much time on this low paid work. We needed to free ourselves up in order to get more higher paid work. So we went through a difficult transition of actually telling good long-standing clients, our prices are going up, we hope you can stay with us, but if you can't, we understand. And even if they said no, I can't, sorry, losing a client, although that's painful, it's taking a step back to take 2 steps forward. I think we're all still trying to finesse our prices. I talk to people still on a daily basis. Some say, oh, you're so expensive. Others say, wow, you're cheap. So it's something we struggle with, but we think we try to break it down to an hourly rate. How long would this take us? We charge this per hour. So we're happy with that price. And we're not going to attract everyone, but that's the point, I suppose. You want to attract the right people and repel the wrong people.
Yeah. That's what I do too, Nick. I try to figure it out in my head. I have packages too, but I'll figure it out in my head. How long is this going to take? And this is how much I charge an hour. So let me, especially for current clients, that I have, I'm like, okay, well, if you're adding this on, those are that I think fluster me more because I'm like, oh, okay, now we're adding something totally different that I didn't have anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, video editing, minor video editing and stuff. And so I'm like, oh, well, let me see how long it's going to take me, and let me add that in. But I do the same thing. I have different packages. So I do like just plain editing, and then I do podcast management, and then podcast management with guest management, because the guests take up time.
Ooh.
They do.
Sure.
I love communicating with them. That was my past life. I was an engineering project manager.
Oh,
So,
cool.
I love,
Ooh.
talking and with clients and, or their
Checklists.
guests and stuff. So, so I love doing all that stuff, but yeah, so that's
Well-
how I kind of do it.
Oh, wait. No, Becca. Here we go. There we go. Okay, sorry. So Becca, yeah, she said it sounds like we all could band together and then hire someone to deal with the clients. Would that be a collective, a co-op? I'm like, whatever it is, can someone sign me up? Because
So here in Nashville, the audio engineers, they have agents. So, they have basically financial managers that serve as their agents, and they just take a cut of so that's something that could call it a co-op.
Yeah.
But yeah, having somebody represent you, because the financial stuff is also the stuff I hate the most.
yes,
I don't mind having that initial planning conversation that involves the pricing, but then the ongoing invoicing, and especially if because a lot of my clients will bulk record, so it's not like a steady, like I don't do a monthly retainer type thing, because every month it depends, like it fluctuates. Like this summer has been less income overall because everybody's ramped down. They bulk recorded before the summer started, and we all kind of went our separate ways. And I just have one client or two clients that have just been kind of, steady editing.
Yeah.
But so anyway, yeah, it just depends too. Like everybody's business model is different, so it's tough. It is tough, and
it is tough, but it is a sticky wicket. I mean, that I'm not so much of an introvert, but I get the impression that a lot of editors are, and that makes it even more of a barrier to, or not a barrier, it makes it more difficult, because then it's not only miscommunication that normally happens, but then it's the energy suck that you really want to use for other things that goes to client communications. And the clients are lovely people. It's just communication is just flawed. Like speaking is hard, writing is hard. Things get misconstrued all the time.
well, and for me too, the clients, like getting back to that idea of they don't understand what goes into our job. That also factors into the pricing as well, and the people that are like, whoa, that's way more than I thought it would be. I like very kindly and respectfully explain it to them why my fees are that way, and if it's still too much, I'm like, that's not, you're not the right fit for me. That's the word I use a lot. This is just not a good fit.
Yeah.
And so I've been very, very fortunate in that I've had a lot of client referrals and word of mouth stuff, and also with my partner and her business also running, like between us, we kind of balance each other out between the times where things kind of slow down a little bit and back up. So
Yeah, Marcus, what was the name of that collective? Not collective. You called it a different name that existed.
well, it's not really a collective or a bit, like it's basically an individual who
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so they just they're an independent agent, and there's just a group of audio engineers that work in the music industry. They're like, this is my business manager, essentially. It's like a business manager. So that's a new business in the podcasting industry, a podcast
Oh
editor
my
business
gosh.
manager. Somebody start that. And
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
would be
It's kind of like an
amazing.
agency sort of then, right?
yeah, an
Yeah,
agency. Yeah, that's
yeah.
exactly it. Yeah.
Which would be,
Like-
wow.
Which is
with
nice. Yeah,
football
because then we
players and
handle like the podcast manager handles all the parts. They don't
Yeah.
have to, the
Yeah.
editors don't have to deal with all that other part.
We're
They
the
just get-
talent.
yes. No, yeah, just like, engineers, my engineers, yeah.
I love it. Oh my gosh, the full range of the things that we have talked about in such a short period of time has been amazing today. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we should go around and shout out to Carrie over in the chat room.
Hey,
I think
Carrie.
that
Carrie.
Carrie called for
She said she was lonely over there at Facebook, so she came and jumped on.
I know. She was like,
That
who
was
wrote
funny.
a really good piece recently for the podcast host, so you all should go over and check that out.
Cool.
And Carrie, is your workshop on Saturday?
Yeah.
Hey, Oh yeah, there's a delay in the
There's
chat
a
room.
lag,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure she has a dialogue editing.
I took her
workshop on.
course. I think it was back in April. When did you do your first one, Carrie? For the I forgot what it's called. What is it called, Stephanie?
Dialogue editing one,
dialogue
or is it
editing.
the isotope one? Yeah.
No, the dialogue, the one
Yeah.
for like the
Yeah.
the dramas or whatever that are on podcasts.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's the
So-
same one. She's doing it on Saturday. So
Cool.
check that. And she says yes. So yeah, that's on Saturday. And I think today is not Friday. Today's Thursday.
Yes.
I've got this. I've got this. All right, let's go around and tell people where they can find you. And I'll put the banners back over. Nick, can you go first?
Yeah, sure. I guess the best place to go to is our website, which is we've recently updated it, and so that I wonder if the one at the bottom of the screen is correct. Anyway, it should be. No, it is correct. I'm thinking
I
about our
hope
email
so.
address. Sorry. Yeah.
It's okay.
So yeah, www.ant, that's ant hyphen podcastmanagement.com.
Sweet. Marcus?
meonlylouder.com, which I stole from a former touring buddy who is Chris Stapleton's audio engineer now. He'd always tune the PA with his SM58, and when he was done making it sound like he wanted to, go, yep, sounds like Me Only Louder. And so I asked if I could borrow it.
So embarrassed that I didn't realize it was Me Only Louder until you said it. I was like, what's Maloney?
It's like the nailed it thing that you and Steve Stewart were talking
Right?
about.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, that makes complete sense now. Oh my gosh. Jessica, save me. How was your-
Okay. The best place to find me is on Instagram at Jessica Podcast Pro. I also have a website of A Virtual Team is the name of my website, but the best place to find me is Jessica Podcast Pro on Instagram.
Yay. And I'll have all of these links in our video notes as well. And I didn't make a ticker for me. Well, that's horrible. So here's mine. I'm batting a million today. So on Twitter and Instagram and LinkedIn, this is me. Also, anything and everything in the newsletter also points to me. So so there's all of that. Thank you so much, Nick, Marcus, and Jessica, for joining us today. This is a lively conversation with an amazing amount of information and tips and thoughts about everything that we do. And I feel lighter after this conversation because I feel like we've worked through so much stuff.
Me too.
Yeah, really good. Thanks. It's good to meet you all. Good to
Yeah.
chat.
Yes, nice
And thank you
meeting
to
y'all.
everybody who joined us in the chat room. And if you're watching this later, please do remember to like and subscribe and hit the notification button. Check out the newsletter and all of those CTAs that I said earlier. Editors, hold on for 1 second. Everybody else, we'll see you later. Editors, it's an audio experience also. So can you wave and say goodbye? Bye.
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 Bye.